Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yep, that'd be me. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Last day of May 31. I was under the impression yesterday May had 30 days. That shows how much I have been paying attention all my life. It is a Wednesday. It's not normally when Susan's here. Is she Susan, are you there?
I am.
Okay, good.
I remembered that I was supposed to be here, and then I started reading.
I understand how that works, believe me. I want to apologize, as I often do, for the sounds of construction that might be bleeding in. I've got a jackhammer going not far from where I'm sitting. I don't know if you guys can ever hear that. I mean, I've tried to, whatever. God knows I can hear it.
I'm not hearing anything, if that helps.
Okay, well, that's good. To know. Okay. Somebody sent me something the other day saying, thanks for the show, it keeps me sane. And I thought, it's driving me insane. I mean, in some respects it does. That's why I find myself unwilling to begin today, because I do want to start with, the big local story here, which is the now second day of the trial of the son of a bitch who killed 11 people and maimed others at Tree of Life. And the testimony from day one is chilling, even though we know what happened. I did not know. I had always assumed that this guy came in and just started, spraying, bullets everywhere. That's not what he did. He went up so close to them individually that the damage done, there were headshots at close range.
So he was literally blowing their heads off.
He was, and and hunting them. I mean, it's a big building and lots of rooms. He was going room to room to room, returning to places. The 9/11 calls from inside the building are chilling, made by people who think they're going to die and who, in the case of one woman, did die. She'd seen her husband killed, and for some reason he left the killer, and then she called 911 and begged them to come, that her husband was dead. And then you hear her get killed. He comes back. It's unbearably chilling. But I want to tell you that I received something today that I will be forwarding to the people who care about security of people in town. This is from Reverend Lloyd at creativityreligion.com. I'm not going to that site. I don't want to, if somebody wants to, or creativityreligion.com. Anybody want to check that out? Go ahead. I have no idea. Here's what he sent me. The Reverend. Our church has been passing out flyers in Western Pennsylvania and Ohio supporting Bowers. We are also going to file for the names and addresses of the jury once it's over, to check and see who voted against him, which is legal to do in Pennsylvania. Any questions? And it's signed the Reverend Lloyd.
And he sent this to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet. You call the FBI. You call the.
Well,
cops.
I will. I mean, I'll do it after. I'm not going to know. I'll give it over to the security people at the Federation. Odds are they've seen this before. I'm guessing. I didn't want to go to the site because I didn't. Whatever. And I'm wondering if it even exists. Creativityreligion.com. Whatever. Just want you to know. And what it made me realize is I'm not certain. Obviously, then the jury is what? Not identified? Is it like the Trump trial, the Eugene Carroll trial? Is the jury able to be anonymous? I don't know. I don't recall having heard anything about that.
Yeah, it's the Church of Ben Claassen is.
Yes, that's he also said that.
It's a white racial religion of creativity, which Ben Claassen created in 1973. And their holy teachings are based upon the eternal laws of nature, science, history, logic, and common sense. He says there are many myths, such as that we are Nazis or white supremacists. We do not promote so-called white supremacy, but instead believe in complete racial separation.
Is it headquartered around here? They don't tell you where it is geographically. I'm sure the Federation knows about this. I'm just I don't know how it got to me.
No, and I'm not seeing.
I mean, sometimes these things are figments of someone's overactive imagination.
Well, he's got several websites and a church video site.
Okay. Well, I'll just let the people that know. It's also hard. I mean, whatever. Whatever. Boy, oh boy. So there's that.
Well, if they just want to be separate, tell them to just stay away from you. You will have no intention of getting near him. If what he wants is to be separate, then go ahead, go away. If it's not about nature or anything like that, then just be separate. Go away. That's clearly a threat
to the jurors. This is a threat to the jury.
That's a threat. And no, it's not legal to make threats. It's not legal to make threats against sitting jurors.
Yeah. Well, so I'm assuming they'll know about this, but I'll make sure they do.
No, just don't assume anything. Send it.
No, of course. Yeah. So. Okay.
Well,
so
no wonder you don't feel like doing the show on given days.
Yeah. It's you don't see the best of humanity sometimes. It's sort of like being, I suppose like being a cop. Who'd want to be a cop now? I understand there's like real need. I know Pittsburgh is way down in terms of its normal, and some people would say, great, we don't need those guys. But you do need police on occasion. You do need
police officers. You just need properly trained good police officers. Everybody wants them.
But so who'd want the job?
No, who wants
now the people who have, listen, that's true. But who in the past, a lot of people who wanted the job are people who like power and like exerting power.
We're the wrong.
So that's which is exactly the person you don't want. There's way, way, way too many of them represented, I'm sure, in police departments. But because the police are, not necessarily loved by a lot of people, and not, it's just, you wonder who, a good guy wanting to be a cop, how they would feel about, first of all, entering, that inner core, that blue line, with the intent of making, reforming it, of being a different kind of police officer. That would, I don't know, it would take a real remarkable person, I think. As it would to want to be a teacher.
Clearly, there are a lot of such remarkable people. What we need to do is be supportive of them and celebrate them. And it's really, I think teachers are as good an example as police officers. We need them. We send our most precious possessions to them. And the fact that people think the proper thing to do is to mistreat them, to threaten them, it's just, did you read the article today about or I don't know when it's actually published, about the school in Fort Wayne, Indiana, who told their, after they held the auditions for the class play, they were told that they couldn't put it on. It was called Marion, and it was sort of an LBGTQ take on the Robin Hood story.
Mm-hmm. Hadn't heard that one, but I mean, hardly a day goes by that we don't hear
someone
about
goes,
schools.
One parent.
That's right.
One parent complains. And this is what I don't understand. What the hell is going on with school boards? One parent complains. What the hell is going on with principals? One parent complains. What the hell? So anyway, the kids were told, no, you aren't putting it on. And several students went to the school board, protested. And what happened is that the community came together and they raised $85,000. They put the thing on separate from the school in an outdoor theater, 15, well over the number of people that would have ever attended.
Sure, saw it. I love it. That's a good for them.
And it was just such a wonderful, empowering lesson for these children, and such a shameful public display of adult bullying, which is what the children called it. That's what they did. They went to the school board and they said, you bring us up on all these anti-bullying principles, and then the first thing that you do is turn around and bully your own students.
Well, I mean,
talk about and a child shall lead us. Isn't that what people of a certain religious group say?
Milton has sent me the so-called legal statement of this so-called church. He says this is all you need to know. The legal statement is, we will never condemn any white person who strikes back against the JOG. I think that's Jewish occupied government?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, does it sound right?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, right. Okay. We will never condemn
or a
any
Jewish-owned government.
Whatever. I think it's occupied, though. We will never condemn any white person who strikes back against the JOG, no matter how vile their attacks are. Violence is the only capital, bold-faced solution now.
Yay, church!
Are they allowed to be? So this, because it's a church, they don't pay taxes? Would that be? Are they tax exempt? This hate group?
If they pass the tax.
Well, so all you have to do is call yourself a church. You just call yourself a church. Well, I might become a church. I think we should all become churches. What do you think?
Okay. The Church of the Loving Hate. I'm going to call myself the Church of the Loving Hate.
Dear Lord. Man. Wow.
I mean, you do have to start thinking what is done in this, among this particular group of people. There are, people claiming Christianity is behind them in every single way, as they do everything that's against the religion. So I just sort
the
of
teaching, right?
Everything.
I know,
the teaching.
beyond belief. Because so much of even the embrace politically of the evangelicals is about hate and fear of gay people, of people who immigrants, the whole thing.
Well, the reason the homeschooling is all about, keeping your children sufficiently ignorant so that they can't rise up against you. And the teachings are specifically to beat your child until they're broken. And this is what I've been reading over the weekend. I was stunned, as I'm lying in bed reading why Christian homeschoolers are stopping. And the article focuses on one couple that just couldn't bear to beat their children. Figured that can't be right.
Well, I just want to say, I don't think that's all Christian homeschoolers. I know it.
I certainly hope
that
not.
This was a group.
This was a group in North Carolina. It's how they were raised, and when they decided to send their children to public school, because that's what they were going to do. One of their kids wasn't doing well, the third kid. They decide to send her to public school. They're terrified because they're sending her out into evil and indoctrination. And what comes back is a healthy, happy kid. And they begin to figure out that, no, the indoctrination was the other way.
Almighty.
But it was precisely because of the corporal punishment that they rethought that pushed them away. So, no, I'm sure everybody doesn't beat their kids. But I will tell you that how we've allowed educational standards to get to the point where we allow whole swaths of people to refuse to educate legally their children is inappropriate. When we were kids, everybody had to go to school until they were 16 because it was in the interest of the country that everybody learned to read and write and think. And that's no longer the case in this country. And we are purposefully given in to allowing ignorance to take control. And by the way, we're watching it.
Well, and a lot of that movement has been propelled, obviously, by religion and by right-wing politics, right?
Yeah.
The crippling of schools, public education. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm going to say it again. I do not understand why one complaining parent, why all of these banned books are the work of about 11 people throughout the country.
Yeah. And there's so many more people who I don't understand. It's like, the other side's just got to get their shit together.
Yeah, the other side has to stand up and say to their board members, you think those 3 people are the problem? Wait until you have to deal with the majority of us.
There again, who's going to want to run for school board?
Well, that's been an issue that was an issue back when I ran for school board 30 years ago.
Okay, well, it's 20 times worse now.
Yeah, it sure is, and it was plenty horrible then.
Why would anybody do it except sort of rabid, militant lunatics?
Well, it was still a time when people did it because they thought it was the right thing to do. I thought it sounded like an interesting thing to do. And boy, was it. It was a very interesting thing to do. But it came, even then, with a well-organized group of vocal nasties that I was their hobby.
Well, anybody in a position of authority is always going to draw flack. I mean, that's part of, any position where you are perceived and, in fact, maybe have power over others. So yeah, it always goes with the territory. Oh boy. Okay, let's talk about something else.
Let's talk about jackhammers.
They stop.
No, I know. I can't hear them. I was just saying.
Okay,
it might be more pleasant. Yes. Okay.
It's true. It might be more pleasant. Here's just before we get off the religion kick, I want to, a real question is in toto, has organized religion been a positive or a negative for humanity? I think that would make a hell of a debate.
Yeah. I'm going to say negative without much debate.
Well, you cannot discount the people who actually try to live by the actual teachings, who do so much good work. But it just seems that once organized, and especially hierarchically, organized religion becomes a powerful force that throughout history, as you look at it, it's resulted in unbelievable death and destruction.
Well, the problem with organized religion is that it's run by humans. And you can talk about God all you want, but the administrators are all humans. They're mostly men.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, now you're just putting a man who we all know is impervious to delusions of grandeur when they're in power. And you put them in charge of everybody. And you tell them that they're speaking for God to boot.
Right, exactly. So
I'm going to argue that it's just a system that is designed to enslave the normal people, the regular people. Religion is a system designed to control us.
It is.
And we don't need that anymore.
What? I think humans need a lot of control, obviously. It's just the wrong people are doing the controlling. There has to be organization.
Yeah, there does. But it has to be based on logic and reason, and not because God said so. I mean, if we're going to respect our mother and father, if we're not going to kill, if we're not going to steal, if we're not going to engage in adultery, if we aren't going to covet other people's things, we should do that because it's the proper thing to do, and not because God told us. And I'm going to say we don't need to do that because God said so.
Well, I have to tell you, Susan, a lot of people, I have had that argument before, that some of the most incredibly moral beings I've known have often been agnostic or atheist, but they have a total moral center and code. And I have had pushback from a lot of, especially Christians, who really feel that somehow there has to be an authority that you fear, or you're not going to do the right thing. It's just
stupid.
I know. I mean, well, but listen, I think a lot of people who wants the autocrat. I mean, Turkey just reelected Erdogan. People like a strong father figure and feel that they keep things under control. I don't know. And then if you buy into the thing that you're born with sin, which is I don't know. I'm sorry.
There's an argument. There's an argument for abortion if I ever heard one.
What? Why bring a sinner? Why bring
yet another sinner into the world?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, all of this was a preamble to a story that I wanted to note. It's happened a few days ago, but this has to do with a law, probably heard, passed in Uganda, and which had already criminalized homosexuality. But this is doubling down. And it passed by a wide margin, happily signed into law by the president. It's amazing. If you are gay and live, imagine how many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people there are in Uganda who are gay. You're as good as dead. Because you can have the death sentence for it. At best, you'll get life imprisonment for anyone who engages in gay sex. and also sets up sort of where people are ratting on other people. If people have gay sex in your home, you're in trouble. Okay. So I'm reading this in the New York Times. I'm reading about how, gay people are running like hell. They're running next door to Kenya, which, by the way, is probably about to pass similar legislation. So they'll be on the run again. The Archbishop of the Church of Uganda said that this was a great thing and that gay people are recruiting our children into homosexuality. Now, that's the same thing that, of course, homophobes said here. If you look at the article, it is so clearly the result of religion.
Yep.
Religion. And it says here toward the end, the fast passage of the bill was partly driven by the support it received from organizations outside the country. Now, where would you think those organizations might be? Oh, yeah.
Probably the lady in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's an Arizona-based organization called Family Watch International. And they have been actively promoting anti-gay legislation throughout the world and finding a lot of success. So I just want to know, this is,
I mean, it just seems to me that God would object to being used thusly if there were a God.
Yes, but what can God do?
No, he could smite them. He could smite them.
I mean, this idea that, well, actually, it's interesting because Jeffrey Myers, the rabbi at Tree of Life, in his testimony yesterday, while he was certain he was about to die, he was on the line with 911 and then he went silent. And the operator said, are you there? And he said, I'm praying. And he was praying the prayer that you would pray before you die. And he was thinking that this is what so many other Jews before him had obviously had to do. Yes. Wait, but I forgot my train of thought. It had to do with, and then he said, and this is like often what people of faith do say, they always let this all-powerful God off. I don't get it. So he said, let me see if I could have it. Oh, no, this one doesn't have him saying it. He said he didn't blame God for what was happening to him. I wish I could find the quote.
And they always blame men. It's like it's not the gun's fault.
Why is it that
God gets a pass every damn time?
Every time. And yet he's all powerful.
Yeah.
And then it comes, I mean, it's just such a, well, again, I'm sorry. And I'm looking at the horror.
Well, and then when you look at, but Lynn, if you're looking for signs of God's ability to perform miracles, they just dug up a nun in outside Kansas City.
I talked about it yesterday.
Well, that shows you what God can do.
Yeah.
After you're dead, he'll make sure you don't rot. How valuable is that to you?
Well, if you're all right, we better stop. I think we're really probably offending a lot of people.
We might be offending people, but let's just be logical here. If that's your evidence of God's greatness,
faith has nothing to do with logic. Nothing, and the faithful will tell you that. It has nothing to do with it. They can't prove it.
Oh, I understand that. It's
you know what I was thinking?
It's all about our own human desire not to take responsibility.
And no, it's also our human desire to have a neat narrative that explains away all of the things that cause us pain.
Right. And allows us not to examine our own roles in our own pain.
Well, no one wants to feel
no one wants to feel.
No one wants to feel powerless. So if you have God on your side, then you have power. And that has sustained a lot of people through a lot of hell.
I'm just pointing out it ain't working.
Well,
it isn't working.
Evidence that it's not working is certainly piling up, I must say. But it's an interesting question to me. Has organized religion done more harm than good?
I mean, when people of good faith tell me that they have the right to control my body and also to shoot my kids, I'm going to say there's something wrong with this.
Okay. Somebody wants to get in on this conversation.
I know. I'm sorry. I apologize before you ever start yelling.
No, they might not. I don't know. Hello.
Hi, ladies. Ray from Lawrenceville. How are you?
Yes,
hi, Ray. And you are a believer. You're a Catholic, right?
Yes. That. I hope you don't hold that against me.
Of course
not. But I hope we haven't offended you. I hope we haven't.
Yeah, we really don't. Okay.
No. I heard a lecture that really had me thinking, and continues to have me go down paths of thought, that the suggestion was that the whole idea of God arose in humans as our cognitive abilities increased to the point where we suddenly were able to imagine the future. Unlike any other mammal, like think about tomorrow. And the concept of God could be substituted with the future, right? So you sacrifice today in honor so that God rewards you. Well, that's the future rewards you. Or Susan said something interesting, like you don't steal because it's the proper thing to do, but that's a tautology, right? You don't do good. If I ask, why do you do good things? It's proper. Well, what's proper mean? It's good. Well, why do we argue that we should not do what satisfies us today, right? Yeah.
You're saying we wouldn't know that if religion didn't exist?
No. I'm saying that's where religion. We needed a way to explain it, and it took on this magical property. And if you really think about it, the whole idea of tomorrow and next month and next year is a little magical, right?
Well, at the rate we're going, there ain't going to be a tomorrow.
For us to project but to project ourselves forward in time is accurate, but it's also magical thinking in a way, right? Things.
Well, it is. It's also like it's an act of faith. That
it is
in a way.
It is.
There'll be.
And why do we? What is it? What is it that?
Can I argue this? No, I don't think it's an act of faith. That I don't go to bed every morning thinking it's an act of faith. Well, sometimes I do at night. If it's not, I don't have faith that I'll wake up tomorrow. Either I do or I don't. And when I'm planning for tomorrow, it's because it's a rational thing to do. I'm assuming that tomorrow will happen. I do it the opposite way. Tomorrow will happen. If it doesn't, not my problem.
But the whole idea that you can conceptualize that at all is something that was not always true and arose with our cognitive abilities. A squirrel may stick nuts aside, but it's not for a conceptual reason. It's just a hormonal, instinctive drive. But I think we sacrifice. We do things not in our own best interest because of our concept that this is so that chaos doesn't arise, so that tomorrow is a better world for ourselves and our children. And I think if you think of the origin of the concept of God, I think those two things kind of coincide.
But Ray, the very fact that you're talking about it was our cognitive abilities and the concept of God. I mean, aren't you suggesting
that we made it all
up? That we created God for our reasons. I mean, whatever God
absolutely.
is, we created. Yeah. So God.
We had to. Yeah. And remember Nietzsche's great lamentation. Well, Nietzsche complained, God is dead, and he didn't do it triumphantly. He did it sorrowfully because he was afraid of what would be replaced by God. Because the need in humans, is that that God is dead. What takes his place or her place or whatever place? And unfortunately, we saw what Maoist China replaced it with. We saw what Stalin replaced it with. We saw what Hitler replaced it with. Mussolini.
But here, what it's doing is taking its ability, again, for sake of argument, to get people to believe in fiction and then getting them to believe as many different fictions as they want and telling them it's all the truth.
Absolutely. And it's not just organized religion that peddles in fiction.
Untruths. I agree.
Untruths to turn into reality, right? I mean, we would disagree on we would go down a path there that we would have scream at each other about. But when I hear fictional stories that should drive us to real behavior, I'm very suspicious about it. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
But here's the thing. Something arises like the studies that show that even rats, when they're growing up, they have a sense of fairness. Like the bigger rat lets the little rat win.
Right.
Otherwise they don't get to play anymore. So even the rat starts to have a sense of, well, I'll want to play tomorrow, so I have to be fair today, or tomorrow I don't get to play with anybody. There is, just like language and vision, we have something in us that has a sense of fairness. And I think that
you said before that we were the only ones that had this cognitive. You're saying that even
but the rat doesn't conceptualize. The rat doesn't have a language to call that something, right?
But as far as
we don't know that, do we?
That's
we kind of do. Yeah, I mean, you can project it, but I haven't had any really conversations with a rat lately. But I'm going to assume They don't
Well,
have
we
the cognitive
didn't used to think that octopuses were anything other than, blobs with a lot of legs, and suddenly they have brains and feelings and blah blah blah.
Hey, I'm all up for surprises in this world, and I believe in miracles, so I'm all with you. But I haven't seen one yet. So.
Yeah. Okay. Me either.
Okay.
But it's unfortunate that the concept of God, the future, gets perverted. But there are a lot of gods, and a lot of fictional stories that allow us to pervert reality.
Right.
There's a lot of false gods.
Yeah.
Right.
And listen, Lynn, I'm so sorry that you got that forwarded to you. I have a friend who lost family in that, and I sat Shiva, and the sorrow, the incredible, palpable sorrow, is unimaginable.
I know.
And
I know.
It
is.
This is not right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Right. Yeah. Oh.
No
I
matter whose
appreciate
God
that.
you are. All right. Listen, love the show.
Thank you. Thank
you for
Ray.
the call.
Goodbye. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Bye.
goodbye. Bye-bye. So, Susan, never going to get to this. All right. Hello.
Good morning, Lynn. It's Ella from Penn Hills and Susan.
Morning.
Hi.
Good morning. The reason I called, I have a word floating in my mind. It's called DOS. Is that a Jewish term? DOS.
No.
DOS? DOS?
Yeah.
Bus is DOS? It's just Yiddish. What's that?
No.
I don't know.
No.
Well, okay, I wanted to get to your conversation. I read a book, St. George and the Godfather by Norman Mailer, and he suggests that all religions are interlopers, and that's what I feel. They're interfering with God's plan. He has everything. We shouldn't question anything. We should try to get people to do the right thing.
Well, I absolutely, this is what we got. It's up to us to perform properly.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Yes.
And another thing I wanted to tell you, there's a premiere episode of the 1619 Project on ABC tonight?
No.
It's very interesting. It's from 8 o'clock to 11. And then after that episode, democracy and then justice.
Well, ABC thanks you for the plug. Well done.
Oh, okay,
I'm
yeah.
serious. No, well done. A lot of people would maybe want to.
Wouldn't have known.
So
That's good.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I'll end the conversation with something that I learned today, and that is, what animal has the highest blood pressure?
Hummingbird.
No. He's in the animal kingdom.
Oh.
I have no idea.
Okay, it's the giraffe.
The giraffe. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Of course.
The giraffe.
You have to get all the way up the neck.
All
right.
the way, pump up that neck. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so long.
I think you and I are close seconds to the giraffe, however.
Yeah. What's that sound?
Okay, it's gone.
Okay, there's two things I just want to get in here. One, since Ella just talked about something she learned today, this is a factoid I learned that I was just blown away by. I don't know why, but you've heard about, and it stays in the religion category, that the Bible says that King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba got together, right?
Yeah.
The Bible, yes. And apparently, a lot of this proves to be true. A lot of stuff in the Bible proves to have happened historically. A lot of stuff does. But anyway, apparently, if you try to figure out how did there become this long, thousands of year group of Jews in Ethiopia, because there was a large Jewish community in Ethiopia. They're black, they're
Right.
Ethiopian, but they're Jews. And amazingly, they had the same prayers in Hebrew that Jews in, a Polish ghetto were saying. So how, and the idea is that these are the descendants of the child that the Queen of Sheba had with King Solomon, and he was King Menelik the First of Ethiopia. Now, as you may know, the Israelis managed to get a whole bunch of these Ethiopian Jews out and brought them to Israel. They were in bad shape. They were not doing well in Ethiopia. Nobody was at the time. People were dying. People were starving. And in 1991, American Jews raised $35 million as a bribe to the son of a bitch running Ethiopia. To
ransom out
to let the Jews go. Let my people go. 35 mil. He said, all right, I'll pocket that money, but you have 1 weekend. 1 weekend to get it done. So that was where the Israelis came in. And it says here, here's the fact that blew me away. In 36 hours, over 14,000 Ethiopian Jews were flown to Israel. In one case, on a Boeing 747, 1,086 people. Things were taken out so that all they could just shove is there were no seats. They just put as many. There was 1,086 people put onto a stripped down Boeing 747, and that remains the record for the most people ever to fly aboard a single plane. Isn't that sort of amazing?
It is, but I just want to know why they're always putting too many Jews in a small space, and then transporting us. I know this was for good, but it's just our history.
It's how you had to travel if you got to get out fast. I mean, the Exodus. You have to travel fast. That's why you have matzah. You have to travel fast. And in fact,
well, as Ken says, can't for once you choose someone else.
So here's the thing. There was 1,085 people who boarded that plane when it landed in Tel Aviv.
How many babies were born?
One. There was a baby born on that plane.
Wow.
I thought, oh boy, oh wow. So here's the other thing I just want to get in here. I have been warning for 40 years about my fears of robots. and now I am so happy that I am no longer alone. And that in fact, the people who are building the robots are scared to death themselves. And so fearful that the latest is this one sentence statement signed by leading artificial intelligence companies, people who own the company, two men considered the godfathers of artificial intelligence signed it. It says this: mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. That's the statement. They were saying AI
could kill us all.
Could kill us all. And these are the people. What's so mind-blowing is these are the people who created it and continue to perfect it.
Right.
And yet they're saying, I keep thinking, like it's like somebody screaming, "Stop me before I kill again." I mean, they can't stop. But they keep screaming. They're screaming, "Hey, somebody do something.
Regulate us. Regulate us."
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking, because we were talking about God. How ironic that we would create something that then would just annihilate us. It's not beyond the realm of possibility, as these scientists are telling us. But so I'm wondering, would the artificial intelligence that will be all that's left after they decide humans are just so imperfect and such a pain in the neck, we're just wiping them out. And I can see where if you were artificially intelligent, that you would come to that conclusion. Could just wipe them out. But I'm thinking amongst themselves, these artificial intelligences, do they have a creation story? Because we would be their God that they kill. Because humans created artificial intelligence. Would they worship us as their creator? I don't think so. Not if they're going to kill us. So I was thinking of all this, the creator, and the fact that we worship our creator, and then we turn around and create something that's going to annihilate us. There's something wondrously circular or ironic or something about that. And I have to tell you, I am getting truly frightened because you have these scientists saying things. And they're also saying, there's a common misconception that there's just a handful of people who are like saying, "Oh, help, the sky is falling." And they're saying many people in the business of AI would tell you they're really worried, but they won't stop. They just keep on coming, and they want somebody to stop them, to regulate them. So they're calling for something like the International Atomic Energy Agency, something to regulate and which controls supposedly nuclear weapons. But as you know, it can control nuclear weapons only up to the point where somebody who's got them decides to use them. It takes a lot more to make a nuclear weapon, I suspect, than it does to do AI once the cat's out of the bag, which it's starting to be. Anyway, one of the people who testified about this said, "I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong." So people concerned about, it's going to take everybody's jobs away. Yeah, that'll be the first thing it does. It's going to take our jobs away, and then it's going to take us away. I think this is exactly what's going to happen, and we're living right as it begins. No one wants to hear this, but there's a beginning and an end to every story. It's fascinating that we, who are so into being the most intelligent animal ever created, actually created something that would kill us. And that's what we've done or are doing. And
we did that with guns too. And we just keep doing it over and over. We might have finally done it in a way that it'll work.
Yeah. They say that for artificial intelligence, it is improving so rapidly, these scientists say, that it has already surpassed human level performance in many areas. It makes us absolutely unnecessary. And it will soon surpass human level performance in other areas. They say the technology has shown signs of advanced abilities and understanding, giving rise to fears that artificial general intelligence, now that's something we're going to learn about, that's called AGI, artificial general intelligence, will be something that can match or exceed. And that's the thing. That is where it will exceed human level intelligence. And it is not far off AGI. I mean, did you know what AI was? If somebody had said AI 10 years ago, are you saying, oh, you mean A1 sauce?
Yeah, right.
The only thing I can think of with AI.
Which is also becoming increasingly more difficult to find.
Is that true? Why? Really?
Yeah, in restaurants, they like to give you their own, or, it's expensive, so they don't. And people just dump it all out, or I think steal it is the other thing that happens. But, okay. Honestly.
So, anyway.
and you know what? Okay, go ahead. I was going to tell you that A1 A1 is actually what Worcestershire sauce tastes like. And if you make your own
change, I can't believe I said A1 and you grabbed onto that.
I ran with it. If you make your own Worcestershire sauce, which is this huge process and involves fermentation and sitting on a shelf in a dark room and everything else, when you're all done, it comes out tasting just like A1, not like that watery stuff that they call Worcestershire sauce in the paper-clad bottle. So that's it. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay, well, I know I'm done scaring the shit out of everybody, but listen, welcome to my head. So I do want to, before we only have a few minutes left, I do want to get in this thing about the former Senate aide who accused Joe Biden of sexually assaulting her.
Right, she's moved to
during
Russia.
His run for presidency. She's gone home. She is in the arms of the Russians and is giving news conferences and anybody. There was never even the lawyer who glommed onto her and wanted it dropped her because it turned out that so many other things that she had said, like where she went to school, were lies. The woman was a liar. The woman was also a Russian plant. He was running against Donald Trump. Russia was working to have Trump reelected. She was just one of their ops.
Yep.
Well, she's back in Mother Russia, and she said, as far as like going to another safe haven, I mean, there are many Americans here in Moscow, and I don't want to out a bunch of Americans, but there are people here that are going to be coming to Russia, and the Kremlin is very accommodating. Good God.
Now, I got a new target for the next drone that's heading to Moscow.
Yeah.
I don't usually smile when I hear about things like that. That made me smile.
Yeah. Unbelievable. They do anything. I don't remember that getting much traction. It never did. And I remember, I forget who, some woman coming out and saying, I don't buy this. Anybody who knows Biden knows this can't be true. I don't buy it. He might be touchy-feely, but he's no sexual assaulter. And
no.
The fact is that no other woman came forward. And when somebody is a sexual assaulter, there's always other women. Like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
If somebody makes an accusation and women start coming out of the woodwork like Weinstein, Trump, I mean, it is because they don't just do it once. They do it all the time. Nobody else came forward. Okay, that's it. We are done. We are done. Go out there and live your lives before AI takes us all out. Okay?
Okay, call the FBI, call the police.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
I love you. Bye.
I love you too. Bye-bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.